Good morning, I'm Bree Driscoll, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. Debbie, now a tropical depression, continuing to ravage the East Coast, bringing extreme flooding and tornadoes in the Carolinas. Spectrum News meteorologists expect up to 6 inches of rain before the storm clears the southeast and heads north towards Maine. Former President Donald Trump taking questions from reporters inside his Mar-a-Lago residence yesterday. Trump confirming he and Vice President Kamala Harris will meet for a debate next month, with the possibility for more on the table.
I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them. I hope she agrees to them September 4th, September 10th, September 25th, and I think they'll be very revealing.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris and running mate Tim Walz continue their battleground state tour. The pair spoke to supporters in Michigan and Arizona yesterday, touting efforts to unite the country. Vice President Harris also addressing her future debate with the former president.
On September 10th, I'm looking forward to it, and hope he shows up.
Team USA making its mark at the Paris Olympics by being the first and only nation so far to earn 100 total medals. Those are your headlines. Now here's a look at your weather on the ones.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. We're still discussing Debbie like we have been all week long, but thankfully this storm is on its last leg as it continues to move into the northeast. As a result, we've got flood alerts in effect from the Carolinas all the way up as far north as New Hampshire and Vermont due to that heavy rainfall that's going to be moving into that area. It's also going to be packing a punch with some damaging wind gusts and a potential severe weather threat. Quick spin up tornadoes have been very common, and I'll have more details on that, plus a look at the weekend forecast coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones.
For joining us here on Spectrum News, I'm Bree Driscoll. Today is Friday, August 9th. Our top story, Debbie spawning at least a dozen tornadoes as it heads towards the northeast. The storm bringing torrential rainfall and flash flooding in the Carolinas days after moving through Florida and Georgia. At least 7 people have died related to the storm, and now potentially dangerous heat hovering over the southeast through the weekend. We have team coverage this morning. Meteorologist Ramel Carpenter joins us in just a moment, but we begin with our Carla Rett.
I dropped down to my knees and went to prayer.
Norman Toller was rousted from bed Thursday morning by a tornado, bearing down on his North Carolina home.
You know, I worked all my life for what I got here. Please don't take it.
It whirled past with only feet to spare, but his neighbor was not as fortunate. A body recovered from this Wilson County home, adding to Debbie's death toll. About 70 miles southwest, this tornado, residents in its path joining other storm victims on a long road to recovery. At one point Thursday, more than 5 million people were under a tornado watch from North Carolina into southern Virginia. The days-long wave of twisters exacerbating already catastrophic storm impacts.
It's heart-wrenching.
Flooding remains a major issue. Since Monday, Debbie has dumped more than a foot of rain over parts of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Forecasters say several dozen river gauges across the southeast could reach or exceed major flood levels and possibly stay that way into next week.
When we get this much water and the rivers back up on us, and there's really not a whole lot we can do.
Members of North Carolina's National Guard have been mobilized to assist in ground and swift water rescues.
North Carolinians to be careful, to be safe, to pay attention to local officials.
Debbie is expected to pick up speed and dangerously high heat is straining storm recovery in Florida and Georgia, where thousands of customers still remain without power. Carla Reddit, Spectrum News.
Meteorologist Ramel Carpenter joins us now. Ramel, talk to us about Debbie's movements this weekend.
Yeah, Debbie's going to be around with us for another day or so and should be in and out of the United States as we get into the day on Saturday as a post-tropical cyclone. Still at depression status, and continue to carry that tropical moisture through Pennsylvania and through portions of New York as well. And we're going to be seeing a threat for some flooding again, similar to what we saw across the southeast earlier in the week. So a moderate risk stretches from central New York down towards eastern and western Pennsylvania as well. We could see an additional 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, and that's going to be the best chance of picking up some of that flooding. And on top of the flood threat, we're also going to be dealing with the risk for some severe thunderstorms. We've been seeing quick spin up tornadoes. That is a possibility, especially for these areas in yellow, including southeastern New York, eastern Pennsylvania, and most Another concern, we could see those gusts over 45 miles per hour at times. Could lead to some isolated power outages, so make sure your devices are charged up before going to bed tonight.
All right, great advice. Meteorologist Ramel Carpenter, thank you. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris will debate on September 10th, ensuring at least one face-off between the major presidential candidates. Trump also proposing 2 more debates, suggesting he's eager to go one-on-one with his Democratic rival, who has been rising in the polls. Our Evan Kozloff reports from Washington.
If you look at Martin Luther King,
former President Donald Trump speaking at a news conference on Thursday, at one point comparing his rally on January 6, 2021, the day of the Capitol riot by his supporters, to the gathering for Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech in 1963, claiming it's bigger.
we actually had more people. They said I had 20,000 and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King.
The news conference, an effort by Trump to seize the momentum from Vice President Kamala Harris after she held a series of large and boisterous rallies this week with her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Trump repeatedly disparaged Harris as not smart, mispronounced her first name, and challenged her to take questions like he was doing.
She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
Trump said that he agreed to a debate on ABC News on September 10th that Harris has also agreed to.
We'd like to do 3 debates.
Also saying that he would debate her on NBC and Fox News in September, dates that Harris had not yet accepted. Trump also made a number of false claims during the press conference, such as incorrectly claiming that nobody was killed on January 6 and challenging. Harris, meanwhile, was back on the trail on Thursday, meeting with members of the United Auto Workers in Michigan. The key union has endorsed Harris and could play a pivotal role in the Midwest, where many of its 400,000 members are located.
I am so deeply honored, as a lifelong supporter of union labor, for Tim and I to have the endorsement of UAW.
The Harris campaign now turns its attention from the Rust Belt to the Sun Belt, holding rallies in Phoenix on Friday and Las Vegas on Saturday. Reporting here in Washington, this is Evan Kozloff, Spectrum News.
Just hours after Trump railed against Harris for not taking questions from reporters, Democratic nominee did just that before departing Detroit. Spectrum's national reporter Angie Gonzalez joins us now. Angie, what was she asked?
Well, Marie, Harris's speaking with the press lasted just over a minute, but she did say that she wants to do a more formal sit-down interview. Answered about a half-dozen questions in total before getting onto a plane to Arizona to continue campaigning with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Now, she was asked about debating Trump, recent attacks on Walz's military service coming from the Trump campaign, and the former president's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance.
Listen, I praise anyone who has presented themselves to serve our country, and I think that we all should.
Now, this is despite Vance promoting stolen valor claims earlier this week, alleging that Walz retired from the Army National Guard after 24 years of service to avoid being deployed to Iraq with his unit. Now, Bree, those accusations have been made against Walz in the past, but they are claims that people who have served with him actually deny. Walz announced that he was running for Congress before his unit was actually told about a possible deployment in the next 2 years. He deployed, but he did retire before that deployment. Bree?
Angie Gonzalez, thank you very much. Coming up on Spectrum News, an off-Broadway play with politics at its heart. Our Frank DeLella is here with more.
That's right. I sat down with the stars of NA to talk about what makes the show so special. Anna Villafañe and Holland Taylor.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum, we know that internet is a vital tool to help you fulfill your dreams. My dream is to become a video game developer.
My dream is to get my online college degree.
That's why Spectrum has affordable solutions to keep you connected. At Spectrum, we are committed to delivering reliable, affordable internet and unlimited mobile to keep you connected to what matters most to you.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my case ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. What an active day it was across the Tar Heel State yesterday as Tropical Storm Debbie brought some significant impact, flooded roadways, damaging wind gusts, and those quick spin-up tornadoes to some damage, especially in the Wilson County area, in particular in North Carolina. Middle school was damaged, and we're going to see the National Weather Service team go out there and survey some of that damage. Up north into Virginia, similar reports across that area as well. Some tornado reports, flash flooded roadways, and of course, trees down from some of those strong winds, which is what we're expecting as the system transitions into the north and east. What's left of Debbie is going to continue to push all that moisture up into the northeast later today. And the main concern today is going to be flooded roadways again. So we've got a level 3 moderate risk for some flooding across upstate New York into Pennsylvania, even a risk for flooding up as far north as Maine later today. An additional 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, certainly a possibility. And we're also going to have to watch the threat for some quick spin up tornadoes once again, damaging wind gusts. Level 2 slight risk for severe weather across southeastern New York up towards New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania, including as well. So you're going to see a lot of this moisture continue to surge northward fairly quickly now that this system is accelerating. Lots of heavy rainfall, which could lead to flooding across those areas. And then again, we'll have to watch for a line of thunderstorms developing later in the evening into early Saturday morning, where we could see some damaging wind gusts and again, some quick spin up tornadoes, almost always a possibility with landfalling cyclones. As we get into the end of the day on Saturday, though, I think we're clearing out with maybe a few lingering showers here and there. Most of the second half of this weekend should be quiet and uneventful. But these wind gusts over 40 miles per hour could lead to some isolated power outages as that center circulation continues to work its way through upstate New York into Vermont and New Hampshire as we get into the end of this weekend. But outside of Debbie, we're still monitoring the tropics. There is some more activity brewing across the Atlantic Basin, and I'll have more details on that coming up in 10 minutes.
Well, if you're just joining us or heading out the door, here's a look at what you need to know. Debbie, now a tropical depression, is making its way through the southeast before heading north towards Maine. The storm spawned at least a dozen tornadoes and catastrophic flooding to the Carolinas. At Columbia University, 3 deans who were removed from their positions have resigned after the school's president said they exchanged text messages that involved anti-Semitic tropes. The deans have not commented. The university has faced intense criticism over the way it handled campus protests over the Israel-Hamas war. And Team USA making its mark at the Paris Olympics by being the first and only nation so far to earn 100 total medals. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. Dramatic video showing a police officer being boosted up to the building where he saw the shooter that attempted to assassinate Donald Trump during last month's Pennsylvania rally. This body camera footage was released by the Butler Township Police Department yesterday. Spotted the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, moments before he fired 8 shots at the former president, wounding his ear. Crooks was killed by a Secret Service sniper just seconds later. It's been a busy week with politics center stage in the news, and that also happens to be true off-Broadway. Over at Lincoln Center, the Mitzi Newhouse Theater is playing host to a play that evokes two powerhouse legislators, Nancy Pelosi and AOC. It stars Emmy winner Holland Taylor and actress Ana Villafanié. On-stage host Frank DeLella recently caught up with the pair.
It's my understanding you weren't really looking to do a play.
When I got it, I thought, I can't do a play because I just had my shoulder replaced. And that would be just too much. I think, well, I won't be able to do this stuff. I'm saying, well, let me just have a, oh, look at this. I was gone. I was done for. By page 30, I had called my agent and said, I have to do this play. I have to do it because I'm very interested in a life of participation in one's culture and participation in one's government, which we all can do by voting.
And Frank joins me now. Now, they are evoking AOC and Pelosi, but they're not playing them exactly,
yeah, and
correct?
Holland made it very clear they are evoking them, I'm assuming for maybe legal reasons, you know, just in case. But it's this idea of these two women behind closed doors sharing their ideas, sharing their ideals. And I have to say, two masterclass performances from Ana Villafanié and Holland Taylor.
And the two spoke about how they learned from.
Let's take a look.
One of my tricks for learning is verbs. I literally underlined and looked at and made note of all the verbs in that play. Sure. And the way I would test myself was have someone hold the page of verbs, because the verb usually drives the sentence.
Yeah. Now, of course, I do that. I was like, okay, she did what? We're going to do the verbs. Thank you.
There's a lot of learning that's going on here, not just lines.
I'm her devoted student.
I love, well...
Please, I can assure you it's the other way around.
I know what brat means.
My work here is done.
Don't test me.
My work here is done.
She's got it all.
Holland Taylor knows what brat means. Come on now.
Don't test her either. And you can catch your full conversation with them on stage. In other news, Broadway star, Tony winner Kristin Chenoweth just opened a new musical, The Queen of Versailles, which I loved the documentary.
Yes.
I can't wait for this. It's in Boston.
So they announced that it's going to be on Broadway next year. It'll be part of the 2025-2026 Broadway season. But I have to say, Brie, I went to the opening in Boston to see Kristin do this tour de force performance, of course, based on the documentary, as you mentioned, Jackie Siegel, this rags to riches story. She marries this rich man. They want to build the biggest house in America and have it look like Versailles. And the bones of a really great show are there. And I just have to say, you know, seeing Kristin do what she does best, this is a real moment for her. And I'm excited to see it again with the work that they do on Broadway when it comes in 2025.
She's just such a character, I'm sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
The famous bamboo-eating bears are back at the San Diego Zoo. We'll have all the details for you coming up.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't switch to Spectrum Enterprise.
Well, you said our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Well, maybe you have too many.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us.
Look, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner. And I can't run this network without one.
I think you can.
Our clients
better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Hey, Bobo.
each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist from Mel Carpenter. Well, of course, Debbie's going to take all the weather headlines, especially in the tropics, after making landfall not once but twice this week across the southeastern United States. Brought some significant flooding through those areas as well. And our next storm system's potentially brewing across the main development region. This tropical wave is going to continue to work its way off to the north and west and approach the Caribbean islands. Medium chances for tropical development. This could eventually become a chance because there's a lot of agreement in the computer models that this is going to become our next named system. Too early to talk impacts. We'll have to watch this very closely over the next several days. And in the meantime, so far this hurricane season, and we've only had 4 names, and 2 of those have brought impacts to the United States. Of course, Beryl last month made landfall in Texas, brought some flooding and power outages across that area. And of course, Debbie this week has been taking those headlines as well. And as we get going into the next several weeks, we're approaching the peak of hurricane season. We're going to see that activity start to ramp up. So definitely keep your guard up if you live in any of the areas that are prone to hurricanes. Right now, we are about 10 days into the month of August, and as we get into the peak of hurricane season, which is in the second week of September, the activity will continue to ramp up. In the meantime, though, we're still dealing with more heat and humidity like we have been across the Central Plains and the Gulf Coast, especially. Heat index values will range anywhere between 105 to 110 degrees, which is why most of those areas in orange are under heat advisories. Southern Georgia through the Sunshine State, Alabama down towards the Louisiana Gulf Coast, and eastern Texas also getting in on the action today. Going to be mainly dry across those locations, so make sure you find ways to stay cool if you can be out and about. Mobile, Alabama, 100 across San Antonio, and you'll notice the cooler weather like it has been all week long, located across the Dakotas into the Great Lakes region. 73 in Milwaukee today, upper 60s across Minneapolis, Minnesota. It has felt fantastic across the north over the past couple of days, and it's going to stay that way as we head into this upcoming weekend. We're also going to monitor a low-level threat Saturday for some severe thunderstorms across portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, the panhandle of Texas, and even portions of Colorado as a cluster of showers and storms approach that region later tonight into early Saturday. Not expecting widespread severe weather, but maybe 1 or 2 gusty thunderstorms will be a possibility. And then as we get rolling into the day on Sunday, should be fairly quiet and uneventful with maybe a few pop-up showers throughout the afternoon. So a fantastic weekend in store for us across the Bluegrass State. Kentucky going to be seeing those highs in the low 80s.
Here's a look at your Olympic headlines for this morning. In basketball, the USA got off to a shaky start in its semifinal match against Serbia, but came back in the fourth quarter, led by veteran superstars Steph Curry and LeBron James. The U.S. tied the game 84 before Kevin Durant, now Team USA's all-time leading Olympic scorer, secured the win with 34 seconds left for a 95-91 final score. The U.S. will now face host nation France for the gold medal tomorrow. And a stellar night in track and field for Team USA. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone beat her own world record to top the podium in the women's 400-meter hurdles. Tara Davis-Woodhull launched herself 7.1 meters to capture gold in the long jump, and Grant Holloway claiming another gold in the men's 110-meter hurdles as the U.S. finished out the night with 8 medals overall. Well, San Diego's newest giant pandas made their public debut yesterday. Spectrum's Bree Steffen visited not only help save the species, but promote international peace.
This furry face is probably the world's cutest diplomat. Yun Chuan and Xin Bao are the first giant pandas that have entered the United States in 21 years.
12:30? Want to do 12:30? If you are.
Marilyn Kirshen lined up with her husband David at 7 a.m. in front of the San Diego Zoo for a chance to get tickets to see the pair of pandas.
Well, I'm sure everyone says the same thing. They're just as cute as can be.
We've missed having them, and we've been looking forward to having them come back.
You could taste the panda pomp and circumstance at the official opening of Panda Ridge. California Governor Gavin Newsom declared August 8th California Panda Day, a playful but politically significant nod to improving relations between the U.S. and China.
This is about something much deeper, much richer than just right. It's about celebrating our common humanity. It's about celebrating the things that bind us together.
The San Diego Zoo has long partnered with China to try and stabilize panda populations. Through their efforts, they helped increase cub survival rates from 10% to 90%. Megan Owen is the Vice President of Wildlife Conservation Science for the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. She hopes someday they can take giant pandas off the endangered species list.
That's part of our objectives, is that they do produce cubs. But in the meantime, you know, there's so many other things that we can learn about them while they're here that will contribute to their conservation in their native habitat.
As the newest and cutest San Diego residents get settled into their new habitats, everyone is excited to welcome them home.
If we were already the world-famous San Diego Zoo, it just takes it up a notch. Just enjoying how happy and roly-poly they are and the joy they bring everybody.
A commitment as it is crucial. Bree Steffen, Spectrum News.
Some stories are just black and white. And you can always stay connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
The 2024 election will decide who leads our nation and the balance of power in Congress, impacting all of us. From Capitol Hill to the Oval Office, let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth coverage with our dedicated experts, strengthening democracy by informing your community. That's our mission. Available on all of your favorite devices, exclusively on Spectrum.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to serve the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back. It made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."